Now we will hear from United States Senator Garrett Peters.
Thank you, Pastor. It is wonderful to be here with the leadership of the NAACP, President Brooks, the national, as well as our state and local leaders coming together to unite as a community to deal with this catastrophe and this crisis. Now, I have certainly been heartened by the support that has been coming from around the country. Earlier today, that's why I'm dressed like this. I was actually with my friends from the AFG Union of Federal Workers out delivering water to people throughout Flint. I had the opportunity to deliver some water to some senior citizens, seniors who aren't able to get out to the water situation or out to the water distribution places. But our friends at AFG, who are federal employees who serve the federal government every day, the citizens of the state, from the IRS to the VA to the EPA to the Department of Defense. Today is the day off for federal workers. It's President's Day. They didn't take a day off. They were here in Flint from all across the state of Michigan to hand out water for the people of Flint. It is encouraging to see that, but we need to do a lot more. And certainly, as we were handing it out, as I mentioned in comments with the AFG, is that it is really, it's wonderful to see everybody come together, and it's wonderful to hand out water. It is also very sad. It is incredibly sad that we have to, this great country of ours, yes, that we actually have to deliver bottled water, yes, to the people of this city. That is an outrage. In this great country of ours, you should be able to turn on the tap, yes, and pull water out of the tap and know that it is clean, know that it is safe, and know that you can give it to your children without making them sick. That is not happening in Flint. That must stop, and we need to take immediate action now to make that happen and continue to demand that that action happens. And first and foremost, that means, as the mayor said so well, we need to replace the pipes. They need to be replaced. You can't have a fix here when you've got lead pipes and service pipes. We're going to need the resources to do that. Certainly the state has to step up even more. We're certainly pleased the governor has been taking some actions, but he's got to do a whole lot more than what he has announced. You've got to be able to get in there and start pulling that up, and we know that it's the state governments is the primary responsibility. They're the ones that had control of the city through the unelected emergency manager. It is what happens when you have an unelected person making these decisions, not accountable to the people. And in my view, if the state broke it, they better fix it. Now, we can do our part at the federal level. I'm in Washington, D.C. with my colleague, Debbie Stabenow, and we have to do our part to help out as well, just as the federal government has always helped in times of crisis. Because when people are hurting in this country, you expect the federal government to help as well. Well, we are fighting that battle, but I'm going to be very honest with you. I'm happy the press is here. It has been very difficult for us to get that kind of support in the United States Senate right now. Now, I've been working with Senator Stabenow. Every time we're close to a deal, and we've been working hard every time we get close, it seems as if it gets pulled away at the last minute. Every single time. And yet you look at what is available and what has been available to people around this country in the past from disaster funds. We have billions of dollars in a disaster fund that has gone to pay. Our Republican colleagues say you need to pay for it. That's the pay for. It's a disaster fund that's put away to help people when they're suffering from a disaster. And you look at what the money has gone for in the past. It has helped when there's been water main breaks in Boston. It's when there's been a fertilizer plant that's exploded in Texas, there was help. In Puerto Rico, when you had a chemical plant cause a disaster in the community, the federal government was there. Well, it is no different in Flint. We cannot pick and choose. We cannot pick and choose which folks actually get help. Everybody has to be equal in this country, and that means the people of Flint have just as much right, if not more of a right, than everybody else who has received that money. We've got to bring it in to the city of Flint. So the Republicans say, well, maybe that's still not what we're going to want. Find another pay for it. Well, guess what? We found another pay for it. We found another place where we can take money to make sure that we're helping the people of Flint. And it's a tax loophole that's out there. Now, under current tax law, if you want to give some land to have an easement for conservation, you get a tax break. If you want to give land for a wilderness preserve, for a wildlife preserve, for a national park, for a state park, and that's great, we should encourage that. But unfortunately, the law has been twisted so that folks who are giving money for golf courses are getting these tax breaks. These are rich developers who have been able to use that law to give land and get an easement for golf courses that are usually private golf courses. It costs a whole lot of money, and not everybody's going to be able to get in those courses because you got to have a lot of cash. And these rich folks actually get a tax break for conservation by having a rich, fancy golf course. Well, that is wrong. That is wrong. We want to close that, but so far, we want to close that. But so far, our Republican colleagues are saying, no, we won't touch it. Well, I just say, if you want a clear vision of right and wrong, I don't know how you can get a clearer vision than this. You've got rich folks over here that have a tax break for their fancy golf clubs, and you've got children who have been poisoned over here. What is wrong with that picture? In America, we should stand with those children. We need to stand with the people of Flint, and we are going to continue to fight to make that happen. So that's why I'm so proud to be here, because the NAACP has always stood up for justice, has always stood up that says no matter who you are, no matter where you live, you deserve equality in this country, you deserve basic human rights, and there is nothing more basic than having clean drinking water. We should expect no less. So thank you, NAACP, for your leadership. Thank you for coming to Flint. Thank you for the country coming together. Now let's see that with our elected officials and do what's right and provide the resources. Thank you and God bless you.
We are so happy and we are so honored to have the national president. I said national president. Somebody said the national president of the NAACP is here with us. Let us receive President Cornell Brooks. Let's stand and receive him as he comes.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. A few weeks ago, it was my privilege and honor to come to one of this country's greatest cities, a city of innovation and ingenuity. But I came here at a point of crisis. I came here making a modest promise that my visit would not be a one-off, an episodic occurrence, a pass-by or a drive-by occasion, that this would be a ongoing, deep-seated, heartfelt, sincere, genuine leadership commitment.
Yes.
And it is because of the leadership that was here when I got here, that is present in this room, in this sanctuary, in this pulpit, honored by people who are living their values, not speaking their values. That's why I'm here today, and that's why I'm back, because of you. There are a few people who need to be lifted up before we get into the substance of this press conference. I want to make note of the fact that one of America's most admired presidents, by the name of John Fitzgerald Kennedy, penned a slim book of the American character entitled Profiles in Courage. When you think about a new mayor who steps into a global civil rights crisis, where there's nothing to be gained, nothing to be secured, nothing to be extracted from this experience, but hard work and dedication by the name of Karen Weaver. Put your hands together for somebody who stepped out. as much as I do, you see a great many leaders. Some whose leadership capabilities only shine when their camera's present.
That's right. That's right.
And then there are leaders who show up because it's the right thing to do, and it is that which they are compelled to do as a consequence of character, not visibility. That's your mayor. I also want to thank our state conference president, Yvonne White, who has reached across the length and breadth of this state to ensure that we are present here, standing together. I want to acknowledge the president of this Flint branch, the executive committee, the leadership, the rank and file in terms of this Flint branch with the NAACP. I want to acknowledge President Gilchrist because not everybody can have a global civil rights crisis in their backyard and do the work that needs to be done. Can you put your hands together? Not present, but whose presence is felt and who lent his leadership to this great cause only a few weeks ago, the Reverend Dr. Wendell Anthony. We appreciate his leadership. And certainly the leadership of our health chair, Pam Pugh. Thank her for her leadership and presence. And I also want to thank our Indiana State Conference president and a member of the National Board of Directors and a superb lawyer, Barbara Bullock. Thank you. Now, Senator Peters, I spent a little time in D.C. Some of your colleagues they just look wonderful. They wear the right suits. They wear the right cufflinks. They can be seen everywhere, but perhaps where they need to be seen. Take note of your senator, where he is, how he's dressed, and what he's doing today. It is a great pleasure to have in the room the staff of the NAACP, Dr. Jerome Reed, Kevin Turner. I want to certainly appreciate the leadership of our Youth and College Division who are here. And it is a great pleasure to see AFG in the house. These are the people who do the work. There is a obscenity in our civic canon called a bureaucrat. I'm not sure who those folks are, but I know government servants when I see them. And the people who show up not only in government, but in the community. Can you put your hands together for the folks who showed up here wearing these beautiful blue and gold shirts? Lastly, being a fourth-generation preacher, I want to extend my appreciation to these concerned pastors. Pastor Harris, because it's one thing to preach in the pulpit, it's another thing to show up in the community. It's one thing to serve the people and visit them in the hospital. It's another thing to be in the community to ensure that they never reach the hospital. Yes. Pastors, preachers, thank you for what you do. And of course, to all of our elected officials. The purpose of this press conference is twofold. Number one, we are here to stand